Thanks for joining me today and welcome back to the power plant. This is Danny and this is my FTB Infinity estate. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to set these guys to automatically shut off when our power buffer gets full. We have this big huge energy storage out here which right now has 1.6 trillion RF in it. It has a total storage capacity of 2.14 trillion RF. So eventually it's going to be full because we're definitely producing way more power than we're using. We're producing about 85,000 RF per tick, and we're only using like 230 RF per tick. It fluctuates a little bit, but usually it's pretty rare that we use more than 500 RF per tick. So we are producing way more than we're using, and we don't want to just waste fuel. When this guy is full, what's going to happen in here is these guys are going to continue running. Our big reactor is going to continue producing steam. Its yellorium production, or its yellorium consumption, will remain the same. So it'll continue to use fuel. These guys will fill up their internal buffers, and they'll continue spinning and consuming steam. So that's not very efficient, right? We don't want to just waste our steam. First of all, let me show you the simple setup that I had previously. Before we added the reactor coolant ports, this guy was generating RF. Now it's generating steam. When it was generating RF, all we really had to do, we have this reactor redstone port, and basically we have it set to toggle our reactor on and off based on the redstone signal. So it was really easy for us to just have a power monitor, a Ender IO power monitor, and to set up engine control. Right now we have this disabled, but to set up engine control so that it will emit a redstone signal when our storage is less than 75% full, and it will stop emitting when our storage is greater than 99% full. So it was basically just looking at this capacitor bank, and when this thing was full, when it was 99% full, it would shut off the reactor, it would stop producing RF, and if we were using more power than we were producing just from our coal, eventually our vibrant capacitor bank would get down to 75%. This thing would emit a redstone signal and it would turn our reactor back on. So that again was using the redstone reactor redstone port, and then I just have some redstone conduits going now into it. Turbine controllers have no such block. There is no redstone port, reactor redstone port, or there's no turbine redstone port. The only thing that we have is this turbine computer port. One of the reasons for this is because the reactors are a little bit more complicated. There's basically two things that you can turn on and off in our turbine. The turbine itself, we can activate and deactivate the turbine. And then we have the coils. So we can engage the coils, we can disengage the coils. If you shut off the reactor, or the turbine, or deactivate the turbine, it will stop using steam. And very gradually, the RPMs will drop. But it will continue to produce RF as long as the rotor is still spinning. So the rotor technically can, and I did that over here. I actually shut this reactor off. It is now inactive, but you can see it's still producing RF because the rotor is still spinning. The little tube that's going through it is still spinning, and it's still producing electricity from the coils at the bottom. Now if we were to disengage the coils, you can see the RPMs are dropping, and now they just stopped dropping. So now what's happening is our momentum, we are not losing momentum nearly as fast. It's going to be, the RPMs are going to be dropping very slowly. So if we deactivate and disengage the coils, we'll be able to maintain our RPM much longer. Remember, when we turn these things on, it takes a really long time for those RPMs to come back up. So there's a lot of waste there. There's a lot of waste and overhead in turning these things on and off. So it's something we do not want to do very often. And when we do it, we want to make sure that we disengage the coils so that we don't lose all the momentum. The reason I turned this guy off is because I'm going to break it in a second. So I'm actually going to enable the coils so that I can just get as much RF out of it as possible before it slows down completely. And then we're going to break it, and we're going to add this turbine computer port. And then as you can see, I also have an advanced computer from ComputerCraft. This is actually the first time that I'll be playing with ComputerCraft here. So we'll talk a little bit about how the all I want to do is when this guy receives a redstone signal, when this computer receives a redstone signal, I just want it to shut this guy off and disengage the coils. I just want those two things to happen simultaneously at the same time that our reactor is shutting off. When you set a redstone comparator next to an energy pylon that is linked to our Draconic energy storage unit, it's going to emit a redstone signal based on how full the turbine, no, we're not talking about turbines right now, on how full this power storage is. So right now you can see we have a redstone signal of 11, meaning that this thing is 11/15ths full because the maximum redstone signal is 15. So this thing is 11/15ths full right now. I'm 1.6 terabytes in there. So what we want to do is we want to say when this redstone signal is 15, we want a full strength redstone signal being sent to our turbines and our reactor, so that all 4 of these units will turn off as soon as that thing is full. When you break the turbine, it drops down to 0 RPMs, no matter what. I mean, any break at all, like that, break 1 block from it, it's basically going to completely, like if we put this thing back together, we'll see that it's down to 0. Crap. There we are, and then we just stick our computer right in front of it. Then we just right click on it and we get this nifty little command line interface, and I'm just going to paste in a command here, and the command is pastebin get, and then a bunch of characters and then TC. So what this is basically is the pastebin program allows us to download or get a program that's been pasted to the pastebin.com website. So I found this program online that basically shuts off our reactor coils for us, and it's a very simple program. I'm going to make a few modifications to it, but we just run this command to get that program. And you can do this even if you don't understand the programming at all. All you really have to do is know what that pastebin address is, and you can download it. And of course I'll put a link in the description. And then if you want to take a look at the code, we run the edit command. We turn our caps lock off, run the edit command, and whoops, edit space TC, and then this will basically allow us to edit the program, which of course is unnecessary if the program is already doing what you want it to do. I'm going to make a few minor edits to this program, and I will of course give you a link in the description to my edited version of the program. Okay, so I made a couple minor changes to this program, and if you're interested, I'm going to walk through real quickly because it's a very short program. If you're not interested in it, you really don't need to understand it in order to use it. It's very simple to implement without having any understanding of the code whatsoever. And I'll show you the simplest way to do that. It's basically just one thing you have to type. But basically, we're setting a variable turbine, which is equal to the turbine. It's going to find the turbine at the back of the computer. I'm setting a variable to the redstone side to bottom. So if you happen to want to put your redstone input on the side or the top or whatever, you can change that here. All you would have to do is change that text to whichever side you want the redstone to be on, north, south, west, east, or top or bottom. Or wait, no, front, back, left, right. I'm sorry, not north, south, east, and west. Front, back, left, right, top, and bottom. If the turbine.get connected, then we do this stuff. If not, we just end the program. That's a change that I made. Initially, it would just give you the error, but then it would continue running the program, even though it didn't find the turbine. Prints connected turbine, and then it checks the redstone input on the redstone side, which is the variable I set up here. So on the bottom, in this case, if it's true, then we say we're engaging turbines and coils. So before it was just the coils, now it's the turbine and the coils. So it's setting the inductor to true, that's the coils, and then it's setting the turbine itself to active. So it's turning the turbine on. If not, then we do the opposite. We just set those to false, which basically shuts down the turbine and the coils. And then after we do that, so that's just our first check, we go into this loop, which is just a infinite loop. It's always true, while true, do this over and over and over again. So the first thing we do is we're looking for an event, an OS pull event redstone. So we're just waiting here. We wait at this line of code until something changes to the redstone condition. So the program is totally idle until you add or remove redstone. So once it senses that there's been an event, a redstone event, then it will check that input again. It's basically going to do the same thing it did up there. We check to see if this is true, and we do the same thing. We engage our inductor coils, and we set our turbine to active. And if not, if there's no redstone, then we set them to false. And of course we could reverse these if we wanted to, if we wanted it to work when there's a redstone signal, or when there's not a redstone signal, as opposed to when there is. We could just reverse this true and false. This is the easiest way to turn on your turbine on and off with a redstone signal. If you also want to disengage the coils, of course you could just turn it off. You could actually just turn your reactor off, and eventually it'll stop giving steam to the turbines, and eventually they'll stop spinning. But then, like I said earlier, you'll lose that momentum. And the next time you turn them on, it's not going to be producing very much RF until, 5-10 minutes later, when it's finally up to full speed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pastebin this. Pastebin put TC2. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should run the code first and make sure that it works. Let's do that first. Okay, TC2. Boom. Okay, connected to turbine. It's engaging, which makes sense because there's a redstone signal. If we remove, I should really put a lever here so I don't have to keep going down there. But so if we remove that, we should see everything shut down. The coils are disengaged. The turbine is deactivated, disengaging coils and turbines. And now, if we grab our redstone torch again, stick it back up there, we should see it start spinning again. Yay! And then we go in here, we see we have engaged coils, we have engaged the turbine. We check in here, we see that it told us that it's engaging coils and turbines. Nice. Very simple. Actually, I'm going to run a couple more tests just to make sure this thing works exactly as I want it to work. And then I will show you exactly how to get it. How to get it very easily. I now have a computer at each turbine. And I have redstone conduit and some red alloy wire, sending a redstone signal to all those computers and to the redstone port, the reactor redstone port on the reactor. I'm using Steve's Factory Manager, my favorite fallback for stuff like this, for being able to control redstone signals completely. And I've got a redstone receiver, of course the machine inventory manager, and then I have a redstone emitter down there. As I mentioned earlier, the energy pylon that goes with the Draconic Evolution thing outputs a redstone signal based on how full this thing is. Now, for simplicity's sake, I decided that as soon as this thing reaches 15, which means this guy's full, it's going to cut off the redstone signal, thereby shutting everything down. The reactor, all three turbines are just going to be completely shut down, and the coils are going to be disengaged on all three. As soon as the signal goes back down to 14, so we start losing power stored in our energy thing, we get down to 14, which means that we've used 142,666,666,666 RF. That would be 1/15 of that. As soon as we get down that far, so down to 14/15ths of this whole thing, this guy's going to kick in the redstone signal again, and then all our stuff will turn back on. So this thing will never be less than 14/15ths full. So it loses 1/15th of its power, which is 142.6 billion RF. We're going to be turning all our stuff back on. So these turbines will be producing 142.6 billion RF at a time. I think that's going to be more than efficient enough. I put this program on pastebin, so that means you can go to pastebin and get this program that's controlling my reactor there, and it's located at this URL, pastebin.com/bs blah blah blah. I will paste this in the description of the video, so you'll be able to see, you'll be able to click on that, or you can run this command. You can paste in this command like so. Pastebin get bs blah 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 blah. And then that last, you just type this one command and it'll download this program to your computer that's connected to your Turbine computer port. I actually named the program TC2 just because there was already a TC, so I named it TC2. When you download it, or when you run the pastebin command, that fourth argument that you add is the name that you give it. So you can give it a name, or you could just not specify that argument, and you'll end up with a program called TC2. Alternatively, the simplest thing you could do, if you just want to run the program and you don't want to edit it or anything, you could just do pastebin run, and then the name of the program. You hit enter, it's going to run it. It's not going to download it to your computer, but it'll run. If you want to edit it or anything like that, you'll have to do the get command first. So we'll do the same command down here, pastebin, except this time I'm going to do a get, and we'll just call it TC. So it downloaded it. It's not running right now, it just downloaded it. So I could just go like this, and it'll run the program. However, just for demonstration purposes, I have this coming into the side of this computer, and remember our program by default is expecting a redstone signal on the bottom. So we'll have to edit it. We have to edit this one piece right here. So redstone side is right. So now it's going to be looking for the redstone signal over there. And then we hit the control key, and then we hit enter to save, hit control key again, right arrow, exit. And then we type in TC to run the program, and it's engaging the coils. Twice. So if we were to apply a full redstone signal here, if we just stick a torch here, which would simulate this thing being full, obviously we can't wait around for it to be full so that you can see what happens, because that would take forever. Everything shut down. So these are shut down. This is shut down. The coils are disengaged. So our RPMs are holding. They're actually a little low because of from my testing. I actually had ended up shutting them down, but so everything is shut down. And then if we get rid of the redstone signal, simulating this thing not being full, everything turns back on. We're activated, our coils are engaged. Yay, our reactor is burning fuel again and making steam. Beautiful. So this is a very, very basic setup. I have Steve's Factory Manager over here. What this guy is doing is we just have one very simple trigger. Runs every second. We could have it run every 2 seconds. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We're checking our redstone receiver, which is right here. It's the only redstone receiver on this little itty bitty network. And we're saying if the south side, this happens to be the south side, has a signal strength of 15 through 15. So anything less than 15 will not count. If the condition is true, we will emit a redstone signal to our redstone emitter of 0 on the downside, on the bottom side. If it's false, meaning it's not 15, we will output a redstone signal of 15, which is a full redstone signal to the same emitter on the same side, on the bottom. So basically, if this emits 15, we cut off the redstone signal. If it's anything other than 15, then we have a redstone signal. So these guys are going to run until that thing is full, and then they're going to shut down. And that'll be the end of that. And that's it. It's a very simple setup. I mean, it's as simple as you can get with these turbines. This is the simplest automation you can really do for this. Now, of course, if you're not using the big Draconic Evolution thing, you can use what I had done before. Is I had this power monitor set up to emit control, and this will actually, the power monitor is not able to see the this storage. In fact, I don't know of any block that can see the storage here other than, you know, this energy pylon. So and that's the reason we're not using this. Otherwise, I would have just kept the same setup I had before, where we had the energy monitor, which basically will allow you to specify when to emit a signal. We could do that. We could hook that up to the same network, and it would work exactly the same way. Because the only thing that these things require is a redstone signal. So it basically turns it on with the redstone signal, turns it on with the redstone signal off. I mean, wait. Turns it on with a redstone signal and engages the coils, turns it off and disengages the coils when there is no redstone signal. Alright, that's it. I hope that wasn't too complicated, and if it was, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. You know, one of my favorite parts about doing these videos is talking to you guys in the comments, so definitely feel free to ask questions, make some comments or whatever, or if you have any suggestions, whatever, man. Let me know below. Now, of course, this was a very, very simple setup that we did today, and these computer ports for the turbines have a lot more functionality that we haven't even touched. I mean, we can look at things like the RPMs, and we can display information. We can do all kinds of... there's just a lot more that we can do than what we've done. But I just wanted to try to keep this very simple and just try to replicate the functionality of the Redstone port. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, of course, please click the like button. And I think maybe one of the things we'll think about doing next time is trying to figure out what to do with all this power. Because the sky is the limit, man. We've got a ton of power here. So thanks for watching. Bye.